welcome in here this afternoon on kind of a somber note. I was away from town, so I couldn't post this earlier, but this is a memoriam for my friend and my collaborator on in many, many endeavors, Billy James, Aunt B, who you've probably seen from some other postings. That was a very important person as far as the promotion of progressive rock. He really provided an alternative for some of the people who could not afford big time promotion, but still got the job done for people. He worked with all kinds of people as far as that goes. But before that, let's really trace what kind of what who Billy was. Billy was born in 1960, a little bit younger than I am, but he eventually went to music school and then ended up out in California, and he knew Steve Vai, and you'll hear him on Flexible. He played drums on some of the Flexible stuff, a couple of the songs. But anyway, Billy ended up working with Zappa for a copyist for a short while, music copyist, and there's pictures of him with Frank back then. But then, he proceeded then to produce his own music as things came forward. I came in contact with him, and I came in contact with him through biographies for Todd Rundgren. He'd already done Zoot Horn Rollo's book, of course, for Captain Beefheart, and had done a lot of the ones, and an array of guests for Bruce Cameron. When Bruce Cameron put together Midnight Daydream, he came and he ended up, I thought it was a tragic end. But I mean, he wrote the Alice Cooper book and came in contact with Mike Bruce, came in contact with all these people, and the time came, and he recorded with all of them. And the time came, for him to come and do a Todd book, and that's kind of how he came into working with me. But you look about what he did as a musician. He did some really great records. I mean, he did Pure Electric Honey, what was his first. And if you think about that, it was only on vinyl to start with. It was on Vox Records. But eating chocolate cake in the bath, say ah. I remember that. He's funny, but they put a lot of other stuff on it. Man, he's just doing a lot of psychedelic stuff, a lot of crazy stuff. But he and Scott Colden in this one, and that was kind of before the time, that I knew him. His second record then, 1994. I guess I came at a time around. There's the second one was released through Divine Records with really a Zappa-esque type of a feeling, and a lot of the Zappa stuff on it. Jim Sherwood was on it, of course. Jimmy Carr Black, and he did a version of "Do You Like Worms" by Brian Wilson. Who Slew the Beast, Dom DeWild speaks again. So a lot of Don Preston on it, Rory Estrada, and Roy Wood even too was on it. He's doing a version of "Here We Go Round the Lemon Tree," which is just a beautiful song. That's one of my favorite moves, probably my favorite Move song too. Got real good taste. He did also cover "Child of the Moon." But yeah, this is one of the first ones that he did. It's pretty out there. It's got pretty good. All music rates it fairly high. And that's his next one. And then if you move on then to his fourth one, Lunar Music, that was a little more psychedelic, and that's the one where he does a version of "Child of the Moon," which is fantastic. And another, Silicone Hump, that beautiful song that Preston wrote, instrumental song that Don Preston wrote for Zappa. He was with that, but that's another great one. And this is one where David Allen, he's got David Allen came into play here. There's a picture of him with David Allen. Dennis Dunaway, Bunk Gardner. I mean, it's just the list goes on. Don Preston. His records were a complete, with David Allen and then you've got Jimmy Carl Black. We've got everybody, and it's Neil Smith. I mean, it's just crazy. And it's all jammed in this one record, and it is amazing. This was the one where really he had the most participants in number wise, and something to be heard. Please check it out. Lunar Music is a different one. And then finally in 2011, after after a long time, after what, 13 years, 14 years, 2011, he had electronic church music, which I think he got from the title of Zappa. I mean, not Zappa, Brian Wilson talking about church music. He wanted to make music church. Billy and I talked a lot on the phone, and I'll explain to his connection to me in a minute. I didn't have anything to do with any of these. Didn't I may have known him during this period of time, but then this to me is his masterpiece. I think this record is even better than the others. Of course, he got a long list of these people on here too: Moogie Klingman, Buck Gardner, Jim Sherwood. He's got the interesting thing of Napoleon Murphy Brock singing Todd Rundgren, which is really interesting. But it's all over the place. I mean, but it's just a beautiful. And he's got his son on this too, and his son is also is talks on. He doesn't. I don't know if he's got him credited here, but he's got Gilly Smith credited on for some of that. Anyway, that's his music. Go check it out. I've never really talked with him as to why he stopped. He stopped doing it. Maybe he wasn't happy with the response of it, or maybe what happened with it, or I don't know. But anyway, I met him in connection with Glass Onion production. I first heard from him. I tell you, advertising the Todd Rundgren scene. Hey, we're writing a book. We need some help. So I copied everything I had and sent it to him. I wondered for a long time, being a big devourer of rock biographies, why there wasn't one on Todd. So he kind of invited me in on the project. And by the end of the time of the project, here's something a lot of people don't realize is that it kind of ran out of funding. I didn't provide any funding on that book, but I did provide some funding and some stuff on the second book. And the people don't know this. But my wonderful mother-in-law, Sherry Radin, helped support it as well. I did most of the, and I think a lot of it was time-wise on the second book. So the way it really kind of went down was he did the first book. I kind of edited and looked at some stuff and gave him maybe some suggestions. He didn't really talk to me. They were all really much called from. He made these great interviews with all the Utopia people and ask them everything and ask them down to the T what happened, like Willie and so a lot of times the first times things like that had been heard. But Willie and Chasm and Roger and even Moogie and some of the old folks, everybody he could get a hold of, he interviewed. And it was great. It really was something that I found very fascinating. I was lucky enough to have the tapes, and I think right now the tapes are in the tape archive. So if anybody's interested in looking at those, I think they're out there. I know Warren had them when I dropped the collection off to him. So I know they've been circulated. But anyway, so then it came to my music, and he offered on his own for me to use the same muscle that he had behind all these other people. And I'm thinking to myself, my God, I played some in DC and I played around some, but I'm on no level with these guys. And it didn't stop him at all. Okay, Tony, come ahead. Let's do this, And I kind of felt a little funny about that at the beginning, but he really was very, very, very kind to me. And you don't run into that a whole lot. And I think it's kind of a lesson as I look back and I've thought about it over the last couple of days I was out of town. I thought about Billy. What did I get? Everything from him. I mean, he helped me so much. With my record, my record. So so if you trace it, he ended up dying of lung cancer. He's a little younger than I am. Has kids and had a kid, at least I know he had a son. And I think he was working on some of the promotion stuff with him, but his promotion company, I don't know if it's going to continue with his son or if his son was going to do some of it. But he had contacted me before the holidays and just let me know. He said, "Hey, Tony, I'm not doing very well. I've got liver cancer." I was like, yikes, And then he was talking about chemo, how he didn't respond to chemo. Oh my God, I never thought it would be this fast, but I've heard that liver cancer is really, really fast. And I just, everybody I talked to, it's like a fountain of giving from him. He was just a promoter and an enthusiast that didn't really put money first. And I can't imagine. I mean, I'm sure he did okay, but I just can't imagine it was super lucrative for him being in that position. But I never, he always had faith in what I did. He always was encouraging in what I did. He always took the time to listen to what I did. And we had many, many heart-to-heart phone calls during the writing of both the Rundgren books and that. Because I'll tell you what happened. A lot of people don't understand this. But back at that time, there was always kind of this, well, who's the biggest fan or who's the thing kind of competition thing going on, which just bewildered me. Like who could curry favor the most, From it, I was never interested in that. I liked, and I love Todd. He's a great guy. I like hanging out with him. I don't have any problem with it. I've heard these things of him being persnippety, and I've seen it a couple times, but I never. I think of some of the reaction. I know he had problems with the books. The books were manufactured he had no control over that, or these things were manufactured, and some of them fell apart, and some of them were bad from whoever the publisher was. Actually, the paperback, I guess, weathered better. But as a big book, it were long books. They were long to put together. And I know during that time that people said some shit that really, that in the Todd scene, that it was kind of disappointing. That was kind of like with me when I went out to Toddstock. I'll never forget the first day. I got out. I was really happy to be there. Me and John were happy to be there. We were pumping around the place, and this lady just made this snide comment. She goes, "Oh, I had a T-shirt on. It said in the thing, wear your T-shirts." And right away, this big negative thing about you think you're hot shit and and all this stuff. Well, the first rejoinder with this lady, I've never met her. He was from California, the Northwest or something. I was just Darnell was there, and I just looked at her. I was like, what the hell? Yeah, I'd seen Darnell before too. Did I? How come we talk about this? Yes, I had seen Darnell, and I haven't seen her in a long time, and I haven't seen the folks from Rochester, and it's been a while. I saw her last saw her in Kauai after we'd been up in Canada. We were up in Canada for Todd's little tour with the great band of Tony Levin and Jerry Morana, which was something else. But she went to that. So, but anyway, yeah, man, it hurts my heart. I mean, this is a guy that's always been there. So anyway, we dedicated the record to him, and I told him to hang in there, dear brother. And it's not even here yet, and he's gone. I had no idea it would be that long, but we dedicated the record to him. Because how could I not? Glass Onion's been everything for me, and I know a lot of other people, a lot of other artists on a smaller level, and everybody's going to miss this man. He was a loving, gentle guy, and like I said, I had many hearts-to-hearts with him about a lot of stuff, and even some legal issues and some stuff about the book and stuff about some of the stuff that happened. But I think at the time, more than anything else, is that some people. It's just like anything else. I kind of recognize it when I make music and stuff too. A lot of people like to talk about, hey, I don't like this, I don't like that, but they're not working at doing it. And it just people that work at doing it are compelled to work at doing it, and that's kind of the way Todd's always been. That's the way Billy was. Billy was just compelled to keep going on, compelled to offer his services to people, compelled to keep moving. And you can see it in his art. You can see it in his dedication. You can see it in the reflections and well wishers to his family upon this horrible news. We lost a good one, guys. We really did. And for the Todd fans, we lost a guy that really, really loved Todd. And loved him up there, with some of the greats that he loved. You see some of the books that Billy wrote, those are really the loves of his life. Billy was very transparent. I mean, he was very, you knew exactly where he was coming from. There was no show with him. He was real. And as you see him, he's great in those videos, all those videos that he did about Zappa and the Zappa related stuff and the Alice Cooper stuff. He's really good. He's really fantastic in those things. Let me see some of the. Let me see what the name of some of the. Uh, Let me see what the name of some of those are. Those ones here. Yeah, it was called From Straight to Bizarre, and then Frank and from Zappa and Mother's Invention in the '60s. He really stands out, and I love to hear him talk rather than anybody else. And that's how he was in real life. Damn, man, I tell you, I don't want to even think about it, man. It's life goes on, man. We lose these people, and we're always talking about when were we going to do number three, when we're going to do number three, and never got to it because he was so busy doing his other thing and busy with my career. And but anyway, thank you guys. Rest in peace, Mr. James. You were a warrior and a great person to know and a real good friend to me. And I send out from my family to your family all the best. And if you see this, and I'd like to ask everybody else to at least think of him at some time if you can, because he was a great guy. And I know there's lots of people that across the way who he did a lot of favors for and promotion for that feel the same way, and not just promotion for that just knew him. He's such a gentle, loving guy. So, but anyway, thank you guys for hanging in here and letting me get this off me. I've been thinking about it the last couple of days. We actually recorded it earlier, and I told Joe not to put it up because I thought it just wasn't. I don't know. I was just too upset. I think at the time I was a little bit erratic, and so. But I love the guy, man. I love you, Billy, and it pains me to think you're not gonna answer my emails anymore. We're not gonna correspond or talk on the phone. It's painful. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in here. Leave any thoughts. If any of you knew Billy, please leave any thoughts below, and positive thoughts and help him pass on. Thank you guys for everything, and we will check you guys next time.